Hi friends, in this video we are going to discuss about another 5 stories from the Canterbury Tales which was written by Geoffrey Chaucer. The first tale is Wife of Bath's Prologue and Tale. The host asks the parson to tell the next tale, but parson reproaches him for swearing and they fall to bickering. Wife of Bath is characterized as gap-toothed, somewhat deaf and wearing bright scarlet red stockings. Her last husband is half her age. The wife of Bath, Alison, gives a lengthy account of her feelings about marriage. Quoting from the Bible, the wife argues against those who believe that it is wrong to marry more than once, and she explains how she dominated and controlled each of her 5 husbands. She married her 5th husband, Jankin, for love instead of money. After the wife has rambled on for a while, the friar butts in to complain that she is taking too long, and Summoner retorts that friars are like flies, always meddling. The friar promises to tell a tale about Summoner, and Summoner promises to tell a tale about friar. The host cries to calm down and allow the wife to tell her tale. Tale begins in the court of King Arthur. Young knight rapes a maiden. To atone for his crime, Arthur's queen sends him on a quest to discover what women want most. An ugly old woman promises the knight that she will tell him the secret if he promises to do whatever she wants for saving his life. He agrees, and she tells him that women want most to control their husbands and their own lives. They go together to Queen Arthur, and the old woman's answer turns out to be correct. The old woman tells the knight that he must marry her. When the knight confesses later that he is repulsed by her appearance, she gives him a choice. She can either be faithful and ugly or beautiful and unfaithful. The knight tells her to make the choice herself, and she rewards him for giving her control of the marriage by rendering herself both beautiful and faithful. The next tale is Friar's Prologue and Tale. Hubert the Friar is a sensual, licentious man who seduces young girls and then arranges their marriages. He loves money and knows the taverns better than the poor houses. Friar's scarf was stuffed full of knives and brooches to give to pretty women. The friar speaks approvingly of the wife of Bath's tale and offers to lighten things up for the company by telling a funny story about a lecherous summoner. Summoner does not reject but promises to pay the friar back in his own tale. The friar tells of an archdeacon who carries out law without mercy, especially to lechers. The archdeacon has a summoner who has a network of spies working for him to let him know who has been lecherous. The summoner extorts money from those he is sent to summon, charging them more money than he should for penance. He tries to serve a summons on a yeoman who is actually a devil in disguise. After comparing notes on the treachery and extortion, the devil vanishes, but when summoner tries to prosecute an old wealthy widow unfairly, she cries out that the summoner should be taken to hell. The devil follows the woman's instruction and lays the summoner to hell. The next tale is Summoner's Prologue and Tale. Summoner is an officer of the church who calls people for a church trial. He is as ugly as his profession. He frightens children with his red complexion, pimples and boils, and skin infected with scales. Summoner is furious at Friar's tale and asks the company to let him tell the next tale. First, he tells the company that there is little difference between friars and friends. When an angel took a friar down to hell to show him the torments there, the friar asked why there were no friars in hell. The angel then pulled up Satan's tail and 20,000 friars came out of his ass. Tale begins. A friar begs for money from a dying man named Thomas and his wife who have recently lost their child. The friar shamelessly exploits the couple's misfortunes to extract money from them. So Thomas tells friar that he is working on something that he will bequeath to the friar. The friar reaches for his bequest and Thomas lets out an enormous fat The friar complains to the lord of manor, whose squire is required to promise to divide the feast evenly among all the friars. Quote by Chaucer, "Summoner would concubine lend his mistress to anyone for request of wine he loved garlic in special." The next tale is Clerk's Prologue and Tale. The host asks the clerk to cheer up and tell a merry tale, and Clerk agrees to tell a tale by the Italian poet Petrarch. The clerk is a sincere, devoted student at Oxford University who loves learning and is respected by all pilgrims. He is poor because he spends all his money on books. He narrates the story of Griselda. Griselda is a hardworking peasant who marries into an aristocracy. Her husband tests her fortitude in several ways, including pretending to kill her children and divorcing her. He punishes her one final time by forcing her to prepare for his wedding to a new wife. She does all this dutifully. Her husband tells her that she has always been and will always be his wife, and they lived happily ever after. The true import of this tale is that a man must learn to endure adversity with courage and adversity. The next tale is Merchant's Prologue and Tale. The merchant is a shrewd and intelligent man and the member of rich rising middle class who knows how to strike a good bargain. The merchant reflects on the great difference between the patient Griselda of the clerk's tale and the horrible shrew he has been married for the past 2 months. The host asks him to tell a story of the evils of marriage, and he compiles. Story begins. Against the advice of his friends, an old knight named January married May, a beautiful young woman. She is less impressed by his enthusiastic sexual efforts and conspires to cheat on him with his squire Damien. When blind January takes May into his garden to copulate with her, she tells him she wants to eat a pear, and he helps her up into the pear tree where she has sex with Damien. Pluto, the king of fairies, restores January's sight, and May is caught in the act. She accuses him that he must be still blind. The host prays to God to keep him from marrying a wife like that merchant had described. A satire on unequal marriages is found in the merchant's tale of January and May. These are the another 5 stories of the Canterbury Tales. We have to see the rest of the stories in my next video. Thank you for watching my videos.